Kappa Mikey is a great show and you can't change my mind. I just finished watching the series from beginning to end for the very first time and I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't think it'd be all too much. I thought it would just be yet another zany, wacky Nicktoon. Or rather, Nicktoons Network original. Is it really a Nicktoon if it was never on Nickelodeon? Who cares? The show has some good writing, amazing art direction, and lovable characters, even if they are extremely flawed. However, the show isn't perfect. It does have a couple issues, like Gonard being a one-note character or Mikey being a little too selfish sometimes, although he always does get what's coming to him. And my biggest issue with it, Kappa Mikey's attention to detail in some areas. See, for an episodic show, Kappa Mikey has a surprising amount of continuity. Characters grow and develop with time and they remember things that happened in previous episodes. I always love when shows do that. It shows that they care just that little bit extra. However, Kappa Mikey has a very strange case, being that, yes, there's continuity, yes, the characters develop, but sometimes it's a bit inconsistent, especially in three specific areas. The first being the overall canon of the show, like what episodes take place when. The second being Mikey and Mitsuki's relationship, yeah, I guess you could call it that, more on that later. And the third being the revelation of Ozu's son. To help make sense of the show and to aid any newcomers to the series, we're gonna go through the confusing chronology of Kappa Mikey. So let's figure out what episode happens when with the general canon. Here's a little heads up for everybody out there. Sometimes when you make a show, the production order is not always the airing order. This is especially common with animated shows. My favorite show of all time, Dave the Barbarian, is the perfect example of this. The network decided to ignore plot progression or character introductions or anything like that, and just air the episodes in any random order. And so, things got kinda confusing when the Dark Lord Chuckles the Silly Piggy got introduced in episode 7, despite appearing several episodes earlier. And at first glance, Kappa Mikey could very easily be the same thing. How else could you explain the Christmas episode featuring a ton of cameos from people we've never met, or the clip show featuring clips from episodes that have not yet aired? When I first saw that, I was scratching my head going, who are those guys? Who's that? Who's that? What episode's this from? I'm so confused. And then I realized, oh, it must be the production order getting mixed up. Oh, that happens all the time. Except no, that's not the case. Going onto the Kappa Mikey Wikipedia page, it turns out the episodes aired in production order. Huh, that's strange. But then I realized something. Production order isn't always the intended order. Look at Adventure Time. Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil do not share the same production number. In fact, they're separated. Or going back to Dave the Barbarian. The obvious season finale and best episode of the whole show, A Pig Story, is supposed to be last, but it's not in production order, it's second to last. And the episode that is last is probably an end to the season 1 Princess Irma Plot's arc, but it is most certainly not the last episode of the show. It would be a pretty lousy finale if that was the case, on par with The Wizard of Ozu. Side note, that episode wasn't bad, it's just, wow, Mitsuki Butterfly or the karaoke episode would have been way better finales. And I think this is the same with Kappa Mikey. I can tell very clearly that A Christmas Mikey was supposed to be the season 1 finale. It gives off all of those vibes. It has Mikey and Mitsuki fan service, it has a ton of focus on character development, and it has the revelation of Ozu's son, which we'll touch on later in the video. So I think that one was put into production at the time that it was, with the intention of it airing at the end. However, Nicktoons Network probably didn't get that note and aired it anyways. And the clip show, well, I think I can explain this one. Clip shows are, let's be honest, a way for shows to save money. You don't have enough money to make an actual episode? Put a bunch of clips together and call it a day. In fact, that's actually what the clip show episode is about in universe. So, in all honesty, I think that the creators just weren't exactly thinking about when this episode would air. They just compiled a ton of clips from all the completed episodes, threw it all together, and that's it. There you go. That's the clip show episode. That's the episode that everyone's gonna wanna skip, so why put too much effort into it? And, well, I can tell you why. It makes things really confusing. So yeah, I think the Christmas episode is supposed to be the season 1 finale, and I think that the clip show is supposed to be the third to last episode in the second season. What, you thought it was the last? No, no, no. That would create a mess of problems for the second thing we're gonna look at, the Mikey and Mitsuki relationship. So for those who don't know, let me catch you up to speed. Mitsuki is absolutely obsessed with Mikey, but Mikey has no idea and crushes on Lily. Lily hates Mikey with every fiber of her being, but once again, Mikey doesn't notice. There's some really weird things that go on with this relationship. First of all, sometimes Mikey forgets that Mitsuki exists in the first place. Sometimes she's just a friend and nothing more. And then sometimes there's hints that he likes her back, like in With Fans Like These. However, I think with the last point, that was more of a one-off thing. However, later on in Season 2, it's kinda shown that yeah, they do feel mutual connections with each other. There's the karaoke episode where Mikey and Mitsuki have that little moment at the end, and there's the entire last bit of Mitsuki Butterfly where Mikey realizes, hey, I really like her. But then here's the thing. The series finale, The Wizard of Ozu, has Mikey going back to not remembering who Mitsuki is in the first place. I don't understand. You have all this growth, all this development, and then you just throw it away for another gag? It's almost as if The Wizard of Ozu was not supposed to be the series finale. Now, you could shrug this off as Kappa Mikey being an episodic series. Sometimes things just don't carry over from episode to episode, even in a show like this. Yeah, that's true, but there's so many minor developments and character introductions that do carry over that you'd think that they'd pay a little more attention to one of the main themes of the entire show. They put so much work into this that it just can't be an oversight. There's no way. This has to be a mistake when it comes to the airing. Now, once again, the production orders seem to back up the airing order, but I still don't buy it. Something seems really off with this. Now, I think that the real season finale, and because Kappa Mikey got cancelled after 2 seasons, the series finale, was Mitsuki Butterfly. Now, some people might try to refute that by saying, wouldn't that be the karaoke episode? It was the biggest, grandest, most epic, I guess you could say, story that Kappa Mikey's ever told. Shouldn't that be the season finale? Well, no, because that would once again cause some continuity issues. So let's say that the karaoke episode and Mitsuki Butterfly were the last 2 episodes of the second season, okay? In the karaoke episode, it's a little confusing as to whether or not Mikey knows that Mitsuki likes him. They share that little moment at the end, but then there's Mitsuki's song where she sings about loving Mikey, and it's essentially a confession of love, and Mitsuki gets confused and a little embarrassed when she realizes that Mikey didn't hear a word of it. So, I don't really know where to put this one, but in Mitsuki Butterfly, it is outright stated that Mikey does like Mitsuki, and they're gonna discuss where they're gonna take their relationship from here. That was obviously left on a bit of a cliffhanger to give them a Season 3 hook, but once again, that never ended up happening. That's the explanation that makes the most sense to me. Maybe it doesn't to you. If it's not, then let me hear it in the comments because I'm really interested. And now, we get to Ozu's son. This is gonna involve some major spoilers, so if you haven't seen Kappa Mikey yet, skip to this time right here. And by the way, my editor has not seen it at the time of production, so sorry, Billy. I'm gonna have to spoil this because this part of the show needs to be discussed. So, Ozu's son wasn't mentioned until the Christmas episode, where it's revealed that he hates Christmas because his wife and son disappeared around that time and he can't shake the memory. After a very strange Christmas Carol parody, Ozu learns that he's gonna meet his son on Christmas Eve. So he becomes all happy and festive, but then his son doesn't show up, so he's all sad and retreats from the party, but then Guano, of all people, comes over to comfort him. He asks Ozu if the story he heard from the ghosts was true, and then he reveals he is Ozu's son. This whole time, they've been together and they had no idea that they were father and son. It's a very touching scene that ends the episode on a perfect note. When I first saw it, I was actually going, no way, no, whoa, they're really doing this? And I was so excited to see what they were gonna do with it and where it was gonna go, but that was basically it. They never did anything with it, ever. Now, it's not like they forgot that Guano was Ozu's son. They mention it from time to time. But when it comes to father and son bonding, the Lily Moo gang having a reaction to it all, or anything involving the plotline, we get nothing. I wanted to include this not because it makes the canon confusing like the other 2 things we mentioned, But I think it helps reinforce my statement. Even if it doesn't outright mention something, Kappa Mikey will remember a plot development or character change or anything like that. Even with a wasted plotline like Ozu's son, they remembered. They didn't let it go. They let it affect the show in a minimal way, but they still pointed it out that they kept it in mind. And I know none of this really matters in the grand scheme of things. Kappa Mikey, regardless of canon, is still very enjoyable. But even so, I can't help myself. I have to know how these inconsistencies work and how they affect the show. And overall, yeah, it doesn't affect it a lot, but I think having it in the proper order would make it that much better. One wonders if Season 3 would have been any different. I know for an absolute fact that Larry Schwartz, the creator of this show and also another show that I previously reviewed, Thumb Wrestling Federation, is trying to get the show revived, and honestly, I'd actually like to see this. Kappa Mikey never really did get an actual ending, so yeah, give it another shot. Chalk this up to one of the 2 cartoon revivals that I actually support. The other being Dan Versus, by the way. If you haven't seen the video about that, well, here it is right here. Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. What do you guys think of Kappa Mikey? What do you think of the strange canon of it? Do you think my theories are correct? Comment below and let me know, because I'm always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, because Kappa Mikey gave me a little bit of a Nicktoons Network bug. You know what that means, right? Next week, we're going to be reviewing the animation capital of the world and what made it so special. See you guys then, it's gonna be wild.